Hello all, our today's ERQ is evaluate one evolutionary argument to explain one human behavior. It's very simple. Firstly, you need to take 2 to 4 supporting studies from biological approach, evolutionary chapter of course, because the key words are evolutionary and human behavior that are given in the question. So what you need to do is you need to evaluate. This is what our command term is. So I'm going to give you almost a ready-made ERQ in which you will evaluate, that is write strengths and weaknesses of evolutionary argument. So let's learn how to write and what to write in this ERQ. So first paragraph we are going to write introduction, and this is what I plan to write. The evolutionary argument of natural selection can be applied to study the psychology of people's mating behavior. Natural selection argues that those living things which are more suited to their environments are the most likely to survive and have healthy offspring. And what the evolutionary psychologists are trying to find out is to what extent people's behavior is influenced by this theory of natural selection. Evolutionary psychologists believe that behavior can be passed down from parent to offspring, that there is a genetic root to human behavior. They argued that those behaviors that increase a chance that offspring will survive are the behaviors that survive in the gene pool. So the next paragraph I'm going to write that what all are the studies that I'm going to write in my ERQ. This is also very important. The way we choose a mate may influence in our offspring survive. Wittkind 1995 and Bailey and Pillard 1993 were psychologists who wanted to see whether there was any correlation between natural selection and people's mating behavior. Then I write next paragraph my supporting study. So here it is. Wittkind conducted an experiment. His aim was to see whether women would prefer the body odors of men whose MHC genes were more or less similar to their own. Major histocompatibility complex holds genetic information about one's immune system. Wittkind's hypothesis was that women would prefer men with MHC most different to their own, since a child has the strongest immune system when it gets different MHCs from both its parents. According to Wittkind, natural selection would influence women's preferences of men just by the smells of their t-shirts. To test this, he divided the participants into 2 groups, male and female. All males were given the same clear t-shirts and asked to put them on for 2 nights and to remain as odor neutral as possible. No perfumes, no sex, etc. So they would retain their natural scents. After these 2 days, all their shirts were put into different boxes with holes to allow the odors to come out. The women participants were asked to come in and smell the 7 t-shirts. 3 of those who were worn by men who had MHC similar to their own, 3 of them different, and 1 was a control sample. Overall, women found the shirts of men with dissimilar MHC more attractive than the others. Now here I have given the study. The next, as the command term says, evaluate. That means I have to write the strengths and the weaknesses. So this is a very important part. These are the strengths and the weaknesses of the study I'm going to write, so you can refer to this if you want. So I write, a strength of the study is that it is unlikely that demand characteristics significantly influence the results, as it was a double-blind experiment. Neither the researcher nor the participant knew which t-shirt was in the box. A limitation is construct validity. The conclusion of the experiment was that women found men with different MHC makeup more pleasant. However, the question is, does the fact that the women found certain men's t-shirt smells more attractive mean that those women would want to have sexual relations with the men who wore them? This assumption would seem overly reductionist, as it neglects all the social and cognitive elements that play a role in human attraction. It also lacks ecological validity, as during a real-life dating situation, women do more than smell men's t-shirts. However, this study does provide some empirical support for an evolutionary argument. Then I write the second supporting study in my ERQ, and it goes like this. Bailey and Pillard wanted to determine if evolution played a role in homosexual relationships as well. To do this, they carried out a twin study, comparing monozygotic and dizygotic males twins, to find the concordance rate for homosexuality. To do this, they had a volunteer sample that was collected through gay publications. They then had the twins fill in surveys. They found the concordance rate of 52% for monozygotic twins and only 22% for dizygotic twins. This indicates that the behavior is genetic, so it must have an evolutionary advantage. The study, however, was unethical as often the second twin was not available, so information about the sexuality was taken from his brother. In addition, the sample was biased as only men were used. Now, in the next paragraph, I'm going to talk about its evaluation, that is strengths and the weaknesses. Overall, the evolutionary argument of people's mating behavior has more limitations than strength. Its strength is that there has been a lot of research and there seems to be a trend in the results. However, it is difficult to establish a cause and effect relationship. There are limitations regarding reductionism, construct validity, and poor methodology. It is difficult to clearly define and quantitatively measure any concepts in evolutionary theory, as for example, attraction is a subjective construct. Another issue is that most of the studies on mating behavior will lack ecological validity because a researcher cannot make love happen by controlling independent variables. The only solution is to ask people about their preferences and behavior, but this is a poor methodology and produces unverifiable results. Overall, natural selection may be influencing people's mating behavior significantly. However, the inability to isolate the biological from the social and cognitive factors in humans makes it impossible to be certain about causation. So here we are done with the ERQ. We have written the introduction, we have written the aim of the ERQ, that is usually for 2 to 3 lines, that which all supporting studies I'm going to talk about and which all evolutionary explanation I'm going to talk about. After that, I write the specific knowledge, what is that particular evolutionary explanation is about, and then I write a supporting study. After that, I gave strengths and weaknesses for both the supporting study, and last is your conclusion, which is again for 2 marks. So this is how I structure my answer, and this was just a sample answer for you to refer to. If you want to take it as it is, you can do that, or improvise according to your own choice, and you can write the ERQ. So if you liked my video, please do like, share and subscribe. And if you have any questions to ask, or if you need any more material, or you want me to give you another ERQ, you can please write in the comments below.